on my own. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare 'cause the flames won't burn us.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm doing What If Deku Was Muzan Kitabuchi's son. Sorry if I said his name wrong, and this is part 1. If you notice something is different about the picture you're looking at, it is because I did not make it. I found it to be too difficult to find a picture of Muzan. And then, cut it out. Not only did I not find a picture that had him standing up, but I couldn't really find one that had good colors. There were ones with good colors, but they didn't have him standing up. And you may be asking, why didn't you just snip this one out? It's because, if you see his cape right there, it's kind of like connected to their heads. And also, it would be kind of difficult to add green hair to a black and white picture guy. So, yeah, and I just didn't like how his cape was. And if you hear the wind, I am very sorry. I did a 5-minute portion of this video, and it was out there, and it was just way too windy. It kept throwing me off track. I kept getting way lost off the story, and I just found it overallly difficult to do it out there. So I decided I would do it out here, or in here. It's the my back porch, like on my back porch. Before I was like out in the sun. Now I'm under the roof portion of the backyard. So yeah, I just find it's not as windy in here. So yeah. So I'm gonna say, in order for Muzan to keep his identity hidden, he started up a company and he married Inko. And without knowing it, he gave her some of his blood. And that blood, instead of, mutating her and making her stronger, it impregnated her. And that son would be the heir to Muzan Kitabuchi, or Muzan. But he would also have, he would be way stronger than Muzan ever was, and I mean way stronger. So I'm going to say that Muzan's company, it was invested in the underworld. They would sell guns, and on certain rare occasions Muzan would sell his own blood, because people found that his blood was extremely useful if the person can handle it. So villain companies everywhere would be itching for some of his blood. So he would sell a drop of blood for $1 million. So, people were just itching for his blood. And whenever someone died from his blood, they couldn't handle it, they would not get a refund. There would be no refunding. Because, Muzan can't exactly get his blood back now. So, no refunds. If you're in a pile of goop and you're threatening to call a lawyer, no refunds. Yeah, so, they are the top villain company, you could say. They are at the top of the underworld. Only the only rival to them would be the League of Villains. And All for One. So I'm going to say one day they want, or All for One wants to have the underworld to himself. So All for One threatens Muzan. Sorry if the wind was just really bad right there, so sorry if you could hear that. So yeah, back to the thing. So he threatens Muzan, that he would start a villain war. What do they call it? It's a trade war? No, it's not that. I'm gonna say he wants to start a villain war. And he will annihilate Muzan's entire career. He will kill Muzan. And when he's done, he will kill Muzan's family. Muzan gets extremely aggravated by this. And I'm going to say most of the people in his company are demons. They are people, and then he has a group of the demons that have been given his blood. And the leader of that group has been given, I'm going to say, 2 drops of Muzan's blood. And was able to handle it. And I'm going to say that guy is named, Delorio? Lorio. I'm going to call him Lorio. And he's extremely strong because he has 2 drops of Muzan's blood in him. And he's basically Muzan's second-hand man. He was with Muzan at his wedding. He was with Muzan during Deku's being bornment. He's always with Muzan. He's basically Muzan's head bodyguard. I mean, Muzan doesn't really need a bodyguard, but he's there to take out the people that aren't worthy of fighting Muzan, basically. And I'm going to say that Muzan has a lot of bounties on his head because of his blood. People will die for his blood. And I mean literally, because they would be turned into a giant goop puddle if they can't handle his blood. So, they'll literally die for it. So yeah. Ugh, gosh. Man, sorry. So one day it actually happens. One of Muzan's base of operations is attacked by the League of Villains. And it is a bloodfest. There are villains' bodies laying everywhere. There are demon bodies everywhere. It's just an utter bloodfest. There are guts everywhere. It's just bloody. And the League of Villains, one of the villains, put explosives on the building and blew it sky high and ran away. So I'm going to say the League of Villains brought maybe 82 villains there. Because back then, the League of Villains, during this time, the League of Villains were on the rise. So, they had lots of people. And so did the Demon Corps. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. If I already made a name for it, then forget that. It's Demon Corps now. Like how there was the Demon Slayer Corps, now it's the Demon Corps. Okay, so yeah, back to the thing. So they blow up the building, and the heroes are immediately notified, and they move to where the bomb was set off. And they find that there are people literally getting out of the wreckage of the explosion. And Endeavor was one of the people there. And he's like, what is happening here? And then, one of the demons is like, where did those stupid League of Villain members go? And then he sees Endeavor, and he's like, you must be a part of the League of Villains! And he launches at Endeavor, but then Endeavor grabs him by the head, and, like, I don't want to say that he would, like, kill him, because he doesn't know that they're demons. So I'm going to say he grabs him by the head and slams him into the ground. But then the villain, or the demon, detached his head, and then when Endeavor lifted his hand off of the demon, he saw that the demon's head, like, he had been decapitated. And he's like, oh, dang it, did I kill someone again? And then he is looking around, and he's like, wait, where did the body go? And then the demon kicks Endeavor in the nuts, and then punches Endeavor in the head, like soccer punches Endeavor in the cheek. And Endeavor's like, what kind of cork is this? And why would he try and go for such a cheap blow? And then he quickly gets back up in pain, because no matter how strong one is, they can't survive a nut shot. So he is in pain, but he gets up and he goes for an incinerating blow. And he, like, burns the entire upper and lower half of the demon. But the demon regenerates and soccer punches him in the stomach, and then it, like, kind of I'm gonna say this villain, or this demon, is a part of that special group. I'm going to call it the, what should I call him? Okay, I want you guys to leave in the comment section what I should call this special group of demons. So yeah. He's a part of that special group, and he launches at, he regenerates and then launches at, Endeavor. Endeavor's just been trying to figure out what's going on, and then he realizes it must be the head. So he's looking around for the head, but the head is nowhere to be seen. And then he's looking around, and he's, like, looking for the villain's, like, torso, and he can't find it. And then all of a sudden, a hand comes out of the ground and grabs him by the leg. In All Might's like, not All Might, Endeavor's like, what the? And he's, like, trying to burn the hand, and then, like, his entire lower half is, like, plunged into the like, goopy world, whatever it is, like, the ocean. And Endeavor is like, what's going on? And then the demon bites his leg. And then Endeavor screams, not screams, but yells in pain and kicks, he buffs up his leg with fire and kicks the demon. And then the demon, in retaliation, pulls him down into the goopy world. And Endeavor's looking around, and he's seeing a lot of clothing. And I mean a lot of clothing. And then he sees an arm, like, just kind of float past him. Then Endeavor's trying to breathe, but he can't. It's like he's underwater, but it doesn't feel like he's underwater. Like, he feels his hair, and it's not wet at all. So he's looking around, and then he sees the demon launching at him, and Endeavor tries to light off a large flame, but then he notices just the heat off of him caught a little fire, and the demon had to run away. And, Endeavor's like, oh crap, my flames might engulf this place in fire. Crap. And he's looking around, and he's trying to think of what to do, and then someone's head hit him right in the back, kind of cracking, it fractures his back, Endeavor's back, and he's like, ah, dang it! And he turns around to see the demon swimming away. And Endeavor's trying to think of what to do, and he's looking for where he came in, and then all of a sudden, the villain latches onto him, and Endeavor, in a last stand, lets off the biggest flame he can let off. With nowhere to escape, him and the demon are left to burn. The demon tries to escape, but Endeavor grabs him by the leg and pulls him back in and holds him there until both of them are engulfed by the flames and are killed. So now you've seen the true, I'm going to say that guy was the third strongest in the group. And you may be thinking, that's the guy that Tanjiro killed. And I'm just going to say that no, it was not the same guy. I'm going to say that this guy was the son. I'm going to say, since the Demon Slayer world, the Demon Slayer corpse doesn't exist, I'm going to say that he is the son of that demon. So, yes, that demon that Tanjiro killed got funky with some other demon, and here you go. So, yeah. So, demon dies. So that's the strength of this group. They are capable of killing pros, pro heroes. I'm gonna say he's the second strongest in that group. Only in second because of what was his name? My gosh, I need to think. I'm just gonna call him Billy. Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Billy. He is Muzan's second-hand man. Because I forgot his name, what I called him, so now I'm just going to call him Billy. So, Billy, he's only second to Billy. So imagine that guy's strength times 10. No, 15. Times 15. I think that's pretty good. So, yeah. So, Endeavor is now dead. And Shoto, because of this, never gets his burn mark. Because his mom doesn't have to go through as much torment. So, yeah. Back to the story. Back to the thing. So, Muzan strikes with a counterattack, destroying 3 base of operations for the League of Villains. And leaving only the bar left. And the League of Villains strikes back with a attack on Muzan's headquarters, where Inko, Deku, oh my gosh, I forgot his name. So Inko and Deku live at the headquarters. So Muzan gets word of this attack and orders Inko and Deku to find somewhere and hide. As soon as he says that, the doors blow open, and two demons are thrown inside with their heads, like, gone. Like, their heads are nowhere to be found. So Muzan orders his men to defend Inko. Like, I'm gonna say he orders the rest of the special group of demons to guard Inko and Deku at all times. Because, Inko he couldn't care too much about, but because Deku is basically his successor, like his son, the person who will, like, become able to survive in the sunlight, the person who will take over the world, he has to have Deku alive at all costs. So yeah. So he tells them to guard Deku at all times. And Billy asks why I can't help you. And Muzan says, because Deku is now your new master. And Muzan orders all of the low-rank demons in the building, like everywhere, to fight as the villains start busting through the windows, busting through the doors. And Billy, because a villain busted through a window right next to them, he decapitates the villain. And then the villain's arms detach, the villain's legs detach, the villain's head detach. Every body part detaches. Like, the villain is in pieces. And Billy leads the group and Inko and Deku to a safe place. And Muzan finds One for All, or All for One, and they get into a heated duel with All for One trying to steal Muzan's quirk, but just to be met with these shark teeth claws to scratch out one of his eyes. Or no, both of his eyes. And then a knee straight to the kidney, and then a hand through the stomach. And then, One for All's getting whooped. One for All goes in for a punch, or All for One is being whooped. Oh my gosh, stop calling him all for One. No, One for All. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. So All for One is getting whooped. So All for One punches Muzan straight through a wall, taking out two demons in the process. And then All for One launches at Muzan and delivers 100% punches straight into Muzan's chest, breaking every single bone in Muzan's body. But because of Muzan's regeneration, it's not too strong, but it's strong. It heals the bones he needs to beat All for One. So him and All for One are just going at it, exchanging blow for blow. And then Muzan notices that a child is watching. At first he thinks that it's Deku, but then he realizes it's not. It's some blue-haired kid. And then All for One screams at Shigaraki to get back, as All for One combines all of his quirks into one punch, blowing Muzan straight through the building, basically killing all of the villains, and half of the villains and half of the demons are just killed as soon as Muzan hits the building. Deku is like, what's going on? And Inko is trying to reassure him that everything's going to be okay. And the group that was upstairs I'm gonna say that, wow. Have Billy is staying with Deku and Inko, while the rest of the group are upstairs protecting the door. So Deku starts crying, and Inko is like, it's okay, everything's going to be okay. And Deku's like, is Daddy gonna be okay? And Inko's like, yes, he's going to be okay. And then, Muzan, worried about Deku, takes his eyes off All For One for a second to give him time to give All For One time to grab Muzan by the neck and throw him up into the sky, just for him to use quirk activation to pull him back down and deliver a 100%. Sorry if you heard that. Millie Bobby Brown is in my basement. Just kidding. That's the kids next door. Because like I said, I'm outside. So, yeah, like I was like. So Deku is, no. So, yeah, he punches Muzan right in the chin, launching him back into the sky. Muzan quickly regenerates a little bit, and then launches back out in one for all, stabbing his hand, literally just, sorry, my dog, just barely missing All For One's heart. Sorry if I keep on calling him One For All. I can't help it. Gosh. So yeah, he just barely misses. He stabbed him with his hand and just barely missed his heart. This is when Shigaraki bursts into tears and starts screaming at Muzan to stop, and he runs at Muzan and puts both hands on Muzan with all 5 fingers on both hands, trying to pull him off. But all of a sudden he pulls so hard he falls to the ground. He's looking around and he's wondering, where did Muzan go? And then he sees a giant pile of ash. And Shigaraki is like, what did I do? What did I do? And then All For One puts his hand on Shigaraki and said, you did good, my young boy. Let's get out of here. As he starts to walk away. So back to Deku. So Deku, all of a sudden the door is bursted open, and the decapitated body of the 4th place group member is just sitting there. Deku looks up the staircase to see a villain walking down, and he smirks with, sorry my dogs again, with the most evilish smirk the entire world has ever seen. And he's like, hello there, beauty. Billy had went to see where Muzan was. And the guy grabs a hold of Inko, and Inko, slaps him with all of her strength, slapping him straight through the wall. Because they're underground, so, it didn't really slap him through the wall, but it left, it destroyed the wall. And the villain is like, oh, what is this? It's so wet on my seat. Ugh. Yuck. Ugh. Sorry. And the villain's like, ooh, a girl with strength. I like this. And he starts restraining Inko, and he starts to make her scream. And then all of a sudden he plunges his hand through her heart. I'm gonna say he has a telekinesis ability. And he uses his telekinesis to crush her heart and throw her to the ground. And he's like, well, you gave me a little bit of fun, but you're too old for me. And then he looks at Deku, and Deku's just, like, he screams and runs over to his mom. And he's like, what did you do? Why did you do that? And then he's like, you might be a little bit of fun. Come here, my new play toy. And then Deku finds himself not able to move. But then all of a sudden he sees the villain become like a giant piece of mush. Or it was Billy. Or no, the villain gets turned into like itty bitty cube-sized pieces of blood and guts. And then he notices it was Billy. And then Billy drops on one knee and says, I'm sorry, Master. I couldn't protect Inko. I'm very, very sorry. Please forgive me. And I couldn't find Muzan. I can only guess he's dead. What are your next orders, sir? So now I'm going to say that Deku is about 10 years old. No, 12 years old. Deku has become the new heir to the company and has been, ever since that day, transforming people into turning people into demons and just working on the company. Like, he's been selling his blood out like Muzan did. He has been, he's been building guns. Like, he has a gun manufacturing company, and he's been selling them out to the police, and he's been selling them out to villains. He's basically kind of like what, Overhaul was doing. He was giving the cork erasing bullet to the villains, and then giving the cork restoring bullet to what he wanted to do. He was giving the racing bullets to the villains, and he was giving the restoring corks to the heroes. So, this is basically what he's doing. He's selling guns to the heroes, and he's selling guns to the villains. And he's also put a scout in the League of Villains. The League of Villains has since, or One for All, or All for One, has since had the fight with All Might. So that means the League of Villains is severely weakened. And he knows that. And he's had scouts in there to watch All for One's every move, to find out when he's going to try and attack next. And he's been trying to figure out when he wants to destroy One for All, once and for all. Or All for One, once and for all. And he knows the heroes have been noticing the recent disappearances of people and the recent rise in villains and murders and cannibalism. So heroes are trying to find out who is behind this, or what is behind this. So he's also been keeping a close eye on All Might, because he knows All Might could be a threat if left unchecked. So he basically has his stealthiest demon always watching All Might, because he doesn't want to put a demon in the hero course, because he's afraid that the demon might go out of control. So he has been stalking All Might instead of trying to befriend him. He's been trying to stalk him. So yeah, one day, like, he's still gone to school and gotten bullied by Bakugo, but he since stopped coming to school and the teachers are getting worried. So they send someone out to his house, and the teacher that was sent out never comes back to the school. And they're kind of worried, but, you know, they just think maybe she forgot to go. So they'll give her a call later. So Deku is walking home, and the sludge villain pops straight out of the drain, and he's like, "Oh, that stupid All Might. I'll kill him one of these days. A good..." And then he's just cut out. And he's looking around, and, like, he's wondering why, like, he feels so drowsy all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden, like, he explodes. And Deku says, "It appears you weren't worthy of my blood." That's sad. That really is sad. And then the villain starts forming, and he's like, "You thought that was what was gonna keep me down?" And then the villain coughs up a lot of sludge, and he's like, "My gosh, what was that? It appears you are made of sludge." And then Deku puts his hand in the sludge villain and pulls it out. And he's like, "Man, that is extremely sticky." And the villain is wondering, like, "How did you pull your hand out? My sludge is the stickiest of all." And Deku's like, I wouldn't say that. And then Deku, trying to think of a way to kill him, grabs his eye, like the sludge villain's eye, and pulls it out. And is like, "Do you have a brain or a heart?" And then he crushes the eyeball. The sludge villain's like, my gosh, I'm going to kill you for that. And he grabs a hold of Deku, and Deku's like, "That isn't very nice." As Deku just kind of turns around and walks out of the sludge villain's grasp, and the sludge villain's like, "How did you do that? That's impossible." And Deku's like, I wouldn't exactly call it impossible. And then Deku uses the force, just the pure force of the punch, to blow a hole straight through the sludge villain. And he's like, that'll work. And then Deku, punches 50 more times in thin air, blowing 50 more holes through the sludge villain. And he's like, dang it, that was painful. You better stop that, kid, or I'll kill you, And then All Might shows up, and he's like, "I am here." And then he notices the kid had it under control. Deku, with, pure fear in his eyes. Not exactly fear, but, fear of getting caught. Fear of having his plans ruined so quickly, or so quick. Starts running away, or runs away, and watches from afar. And All Might is like, "What are you running from?" And Deku is like, "Wait, he's able to keep up with me? My scouts didn't say he was that strong." And then Deku, jumps off of the building. And All Might's like, "Oh no." And he jumps off the building to try and catch Deku. But then he notices Deku moved in thin air back to the sludge villain. And he's like, "Wait, what am I doing?" And he notices that the sludge villain is trying to engulf, or try and take over Deku's body. And he's like, "What am I doing? Was I only seeing things?" And he drops down, and he's like, "Texas Smash!" And he blows he destroys the sludge villain. And Deku falls to the ground, and he's like, "Thank you so much. Can you sign my autograph?" And in case you guys didn't know, Deku purposely let the sludge villain take over him, and is acting like this because he was trying to want this. He wants the All Might to think that it was a dream. Like, he was imagining that that Deku ran away from him. So All Might is like, yeah, sure. And then he quickly signs Deku's notebook, and he's like, well, I gotta be off. I gotta get out of here, kid. So, and bring this villain to justice. And he puts the sludge villain in a jar, and he blasts off. Deku is like, whew, man, that was a close call. Man, thank goodness I'm as smart as I am. No normal person would have been able to think of that plan, or have been able to react with such speeds. Man. And he starts walking home. Billy calls him, and he's like, hey, why aren't you home yet? And Deku's like, because I had a run-in with All Might. And Billy's like, what? And then the scout drops down, and he's like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to alert you in time. And then Deku, with a swift motion, decapitates the scout and tells Billy, hey, we're going to need a new scout. This one's useless. And Billy's like, he was our best scout, sir. And Deku says, not anymore. And Billy's like, right away, sir. We'll track down All Might and assign a better scout to this mission. And Deku says, good job. Or, good boy. I'm heading home now. And he hangs up the call. And that's where I'm going to leave it off for this episode. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. And while you're at it, United States of smash the bell icon to be notified when I post part 2 to this video or a different video. And once again, I am very sorry about the wind, if it was at all any trouble. And I'm also sorry for not doing as much of Deku's story. But part 2 will be Deku. I just had to get kind of the backstory out, I guess. So, yeah. And I'll see you guys next episode. Peace out.